Hello everyone, this is the Aquamandan. My name's Savid, this is Graham, and today we have a new perspective, Nityan. So today we're going to be talking about modern NASA. So Graham, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so I'll just start out. We're going to give a tiny little history of NASA just to begin with. NASA actually started out as NACA, so the National Advisory Committee of Aeronautics. And it was originally created in 1914, kind of to catch up with the West in terms of like powered flight. Because obviously, we were the first ones to create it with the White brothers, but we started to fall behind commercially and especially militarily when the war began. So it was, when it was originally created, it was actually a part of the United States military. And after World War One, it still stayed around, and it worked with the Navy, the Marines, and the military because, and obviously later the Air Force. But it also kind of always stayed just a part of the military as kind of side piece. But later, especially when rockets started to become a thing, and after World War Two, it started to take over that kind of space of the military. And obviously, as it started to get better with rockets, it started to have concepts of possible space travel. And obviously, after World War II, when the United States started getting all those German rocket scientists, they added them to NACA. Well, Eisenhower decided that, hey, NACA is pretty important, especially with the space race. And, we started understanding that the Soviets were doing space flight with Sputnik. So Eisenhower decided to separate it from the Army and make it its own civilian service called NASA.
Yeah, and that was
And
in 1958, I believe. Just,
yep,
if anybody's wondering the
so
date.
pretty early on. And from then on, it was constantly catch up with the Soviets. So the Soviets launched the first satellite, we launched it after, which was interesting because that was actually the Navy who did that. And then after that, they sent the first guy, then we sent the first guy in space, and eventually it led to us getting on the moon first. And an interesting side note there is how that whole time NASA is getting flooded with money. Because the United States, its civilians, are obviously kind of horrified of, oh my god, if the Soviets can get into space, and especially on the moon, then what happens if they're up there, can't they attack us from space? So NASA, even though it was a civilian service, was almost seen as like part of the military in terms of budget allocation because they were so fearful that one of the Soviets get ahead of us in space.
Yeah,
And
especially during the Apollo
mm,
missions, NASA's budget was 4% of the entire federal budget, which is the highest it's ever been. And now we're looking at it, it's like around maybe it's less than 1%. I know it's less than 1%. So it's
I
pretty
think it
pretty
was,
drastic difference there.
yeah, I think there was a video Mark Rober did, and it was about 0.5% of the budget.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a huge
yeah,
difference.
it was like it peaked in 1966. But that was the real budget. Nominal budget, it peaked in 2009. But obviously, percentage of GDP constant fall off as soon as we get to the moon because the Soviets have to cancel their program to focus on their military budget. And so Americans realized, oh, we don't need it for national security. So who cares?
Yeah, and what's also interesting is like I believe starting from like 2011 onwards, like we just we would use Russian spacecraft to get to the
Mm-hmm.
ISS. Like we just didn't care anymore, you know? So that was interesting, especially considering the fact that technically speaking, like the space race, this USSR kind of won. If you really think about it,
If
because
we're gonna
Yuri
do a point
Gagarin,
tally,
yeah,
yeah,
like Yuri
yeah.
Gagarin was the first person in space. We were
Mm-hmm.
the first people on the moon, sure, but technically speaking, the USSR won that. But yeah,
It's really interesting to learn about like the Soviet space program as well, because it was really these two. I'm pretty sure I'm not the expert on this, but it was like two really pivotal scientists within the cosmonaut program, and they're constantly battling each other for
hmm,
influence. It
yeah,
was like major infighting, and it obviously led to competition for further growth. But the whole time of the whole space program, they're fighting with budgets with the military because the Soviet military, they were so paranoid about, hey, we don't want the West to beat us, or we want to make sure we can beat the West in a conventional war. That as soon as we got on the moon, and they were building a rocket called the N1, and it didn't do very well in testing. So they were like, we're slashing the program. We're not doing this anymore. And it was like, it was super interesting. Like they literally had designs to start building, massive bases on the moon.
Right, yeah,
And it was
yeah,
like they've been doing that for decades. But it was like
yeah.
all of it was scrapped because they were just like, it
I
just
know,
doesn't. They couldn't spend it.
yeah, I know the Soviets were also looking at artificial gravity, which was very interesting.
Hmm.
They had a design for like a helical type of spacecraft that like spun, and the force, this centripetal force, would create artificial gravity. Obviously, it doesn't go anywhere because it's not feasible, but it was interesting. I saw designs for those too.
That's really
Um,
awesome. I never heard of that.
yeah. Um, but
Was
the
it?
moon bases, that's new. I've not heard that.
Hmm.
Sorry, Nate, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say the artificial gravity is interesting. I'm assuming maybe it was just for the astronaut's health because I know space can cause a lot of
Yeah,
issues for.
it's like ridiculously bad for a human to be
Yeah,
undergoing that constantly because all the
yeah.
blood like rushes to your feet and stuff. I don't know. I don't know the whole like science part of it, but it did not work. And I kind of
Hmm.
understand why, but it was just crazy.
I will say another thing with the Soviets was they were really the first to start expanding more than just the moon before us. Obviously, the Russian space program tanked as soon as the first budget cut came, but it was like, for example, the Russians were really interested in Venus because Venus they really didn't know what was under the atmosphere, and since Venus is around the same size and made of the same materials as Earth, so they're like, maybe there's like, land or something under there. Obviously, their probe smack landed on the top and realized it's a hellscape.
Yeah, yeah,
But that was a pretty interesting tidbit as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
Venus is like Earth, but with like literally 1,000 times more carbon dioxide. Like it's like a
It's
thick
hell.
layer of
It's
carbon
literally
dioxide.
hell.
Like it rains carbon dioxide there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 1,000,000 degrees
Wait,
there
does it
too.
actually rain carbon dioxide? I thought.
Yeah, I'm if I'm not mistaken, like the atmosphere is so thick that it doesn't like rain like here like it rains water actually, right? Like there, yeah,
Hmm.
the pressure builds up to the point where it can rain carbon dioxide.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I find interesting about all of this, like the whole space race and how much money we just, threw into NASA
Hmm.
at the time. I mean, you look at it and it's like at the time we were like pushing all the kids in the US to go into science, to go into engineering, to go into
Hmm.
math because we needed like people in STEM,
Yeah.
And like I'm not gonna lie, people back then they're probably a lot smarter than us now, but like
No
it's
AI
so
chatbots.
yeah, it's just so crazy to me. Because we were just like, we need scientists, and now nobody cares. Like nowadays we're rejecting science on a daily basis.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I actually like love the fact that NASA it's yes like what back then the goal was like just to get into space, I guess. But in that like in that science like testing and like through that rigorous process, you actually get a lot of inventions that help us down here, right? It's
Yeah,
not
Hmm.
just that
exactly.
you like because I used to hold like a belief like the belief that like oh like going to space is like useless, like we have some problems down here. But whenever you're building something um that's designed to like what do you call it survive that extreme and like habit like that extreme environment,
Hmm.
right? Something that can go through all those like something that extreme, you actually end up with inventions and with like better
Hmm.
methods for
Yeah,
building like for materials down
yeah.
here, right?
For example, I think it was, I could be wrong about this, but the MRI, I believe, that
I
was
think it
built.
was, yeah.
Yeah, that was built
Because it was to
because
test astronauts, I'm pretty sure. Like
yeah,
when they came back.
yeah, and if we're talking about the modern era, actually, like the whole space frontier is very important for pharmaceutical science because we can
Yeah.
test different drugs in different, like, like gravitational settings, basically.
Hmm.
And so that's like super important. In a vacuum, you can, and like not only that, you can see how it affects the human body. You can learn about, health in space, which is, goes without saying, it's pretty important. But yeah, I used to be of the same like belief. Like I was like, we got so many problems on Earth, but it's like I mean, that's true, but we weren't meant to. I truly don't believe we were meant to stay here forever. You
I
know?
would say it's interesting that you guys both felt that way because I generally never have. Because in my head it was like, for example, like heavy industry on Earth that creates greenhouse gases and screws up our atmosphere. It's like in my head I always thought, wouldn't it be so nice if so much like stuff could be I mean, obviously, we understand that there is problems with like somehow offshored in space. Like for example, if you start strip mining the moon, no one's there. It's not like there's an ecosystem that you're gonna kill, and it's like gonna.
Exactly.
I mean, you destroy Earth's ecosystem, everyone's gonna die.
Yeah.
But if you destroy, honestly, genuinely, if you start like just burning, gas and destroying stuff, you might even create an atmosphere up there.
Yeah.
But like it wouldn't hold because there's no magnetic field on the moon. It was like to me, I genuinely always thought to myself, like even when people talk about like overpopulation, which is not really an issue, but it's like you could just start migrating to space, and it's proven that hey, space, living in space wouldn't really be the best because you'd have to live like in a hut underground, but it's still possible, and you don't have to terraform it.
We were born to inherit the stars, man.
Dude, like, and if you think about it, like we tend to look at how much advancement that we've made and think that we're like at the end of history, right? Like we always look at how much has come before us and then think like, oh, all the advancements we're at like we're like, oh, we think like, oh, we're kind of like the end game, right? We think that our civilization is the end game, when in reality, if you actually look at the potential, right? Even if human race lived for the same length as an average mammalian species, we're in like the first like half percentage. Like if even for the average mammalian species, like, and that's disregarding the fact that we obviously have the ability to survive and thrive much better than any other species that has come before us. And there's no reason why we couldn't live to like the ends of the earth, which is like genuinely like an unfathomable amount like of time. Like the average mammalian
Yeah.
species is like 2 million years, right? We've been here for like maybe like 10,000, like, or like tens of thousands, max.
100,000, yeah.
100,000, right? Like but that's nothing compared to how much we could live. And then beyond that, the Earth is going to exist and be habitable for so much longer. There's no reason why, like, eventually in our, eventually in our civilization, we come to a point where we can reach these, places
Reminds
in
me of
space, like
the
Mars.
Kardashev scale, but that's a topic for a different video. I want to get into the modern era of NASA, like what's going on now, like a couple years ago, stuff like that. Number one, I think we should probably talk about the most pressing issue: commercial heavy lift systems, SpaceX.
I think
selling
that's
to
a
NASA.
definitely a great way to start because
Yeah.
they're all. I mean, it's obviously the United States' fault for just giving up on. We were so far ahead of everyone else. I mean, the Russians were obviously far ahead, but they were Russia would never have the funds to keep funding that with all their issues. So it's like the United States easily. I mean, there's no way that we could not have multiple cities on the moon at this point if we kept going in the 60s. So it's like
Yeah.
what you really just had is, well, you have all these smart engineers who could, love space because they grew up with it, and they want to go to the moon, and NASA doesn't care. So what they did is, they got together with these, billionaires like, Bezos and Elon, and now they're, building these commercial flights, and it's good and bad in so many ways. Because obviously, like, the SpaceX rockets are seen as, like, they're really good. I mean, they can come back down, they can catch them.
Coming back down alone is like
And
that's a crazy thing.
What's crazier about them is, like, what it's mind-blowing that SpaceX's whole rocket can come down. Everything.
Yeah.
And it can come, it shoot up and come down. And I know that they even use a different fuel than everyone else. It's like, don't they use helium, I think?
I'm
It
not
creates
sure
like a
about
different
that.
kind of
I
blast.
don't.
No?
I would caution against saying helium because helium can't be used as fuel. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's something
Not
else.
helium? It starts with an H, but it was really interesting.
Probably hydrogen.
Well, no. It was hydrogen. I'm stupid. It's hydrogen. Yeah, they were using like a hydrogen-based fuel because like their plan is when we go to Mars, if we can get the water and split it between oxygen and hydrogen,
But
to
with
then
like
make
in
rocket fuel.
asteroids. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That's actually.
They were
I
trying
didn't
to-
know that.
They're trying to base it off that fuel because NASA uses all different types, and they're like, hey, we want this standardized type of fuel, and it's not as efficient, obviously, but because like if you were to land that on Mars, you'd be able to make rocket fuel on Mars without having to make massive
Right,
industrial
right.
plants.
Well, I mean, like I'm pretty sure even NASA's rocket fuel is you can make it using.
You can, just from
Yeah.
what I know, it's just more difficult, and you can't use like the ready. You just can't just use water.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, overall, I think SpaceX selling to NASA right now, specifically right now at this moment, I think it's a good thing.
hmm
And I think it's partly because number one, I mean, SpaceX is a private company. It's kind of like I compare it to like, the military buying stuff from like private companies. That's all really
Yeah.
NASA's doing here. They're just buying equipment, and I don't
hmm
see a problem with it really until like they start selling to other countries. Obviously, that might be
Yeah.
just that's like okay.
Well, because then you
Yeah.
have issues where it's like. It's just
Yeah.
like when the military, sells weapon systems. It's just
Yeah.
like that could be turned against you.
Exactly. Yeah, but like at this moment, I think we need it. I
It's
really do.
competition, and I mean, I feel like if they just kept funding NASA, I mean, eventually space programs were gonna happen, like private. I mean, we're in the United States.
Yeah.
It's just like as Britain had colonial companies,
Yeah, exactly.
with charters, it was gonna happen here. But I think it's just really interesting how it happened here, how we kind of gave up with the government side of it. I feel like if you have a strong NASA and a strong private sector, we'd be unstoppable. But
Of
we have a
course, yeah.
completely weak NASA
Yeah,
and
exactly.
a very strong private. But my question is like, well, what happens if they start colonizing? How is the United States going to be able to monitor them?
Well, I don't think
You
they
know what I
should.
mean?
I think they should strictly stick to, selling equipment. And that's like right now. And then I think
Yeah.
because like you said, we have a really strong private sector, but we have
Mhm.
like a basically non-existent
Basically
NASA,
non-existent.
Yeah. So we can't give up our strongest asset, We
Yeah.
have to keep that, okay? And preferably keep them selling to us and nobody else. But I think
Mhm.
once, for example, in maybe, who knows, we start a
Mhm.
moon base, okay? Maybe we get
Well-
some money, okay?
Yeah.
We can put it back into NASA, make NASA a better organization. But I
Mhm.
think for now, it's pretty good that we have companies like.
Wait,
I
but
will
like,
say, like,
to play the devil's advocate though.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I just
Mhm.
want to say, like, with SpaceX having so much power, right? Once we do get to the moon or things like that, wouldn't that be funneled through SpaceX, allowing like SpaceX to make a shit ton of money? Like,
no, I
think-
completely agree
think-
with you. That's why I was saying, like, long
Yeah.
term, it's very dangerous because, like, you can have.
Yeah.
There's this stupid video game from a long time ago. I don't know what it's called, but I would watch videos about it, and it was like basically how it went was these guys went this space building company built this rocket ship for Earth, right? And basically Earth said, okay, if we find 2 habitable planets, you get one of them. They told that company because they built the ship. And they go there, and one becomes a company world, and the other one becomes like governed by Earth. And obviously that's stupid, fictional, but it's really like it's true. Where it's like if you have SpaceX go up there and they start strip mining the moon, they will become immensely rich.
That's
And eventually, it's like they'd be able to. I mean, they're definitely going to become international, so they could just be like, we're a corporate state now. Goodbye,
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, that's why we need regulation. Which is why I say I don't think it's a good idea to have like you made the comparison to the East India
Yeah.
Company. Like that's horrible, dude. That's like a
It is.
dystopian world.
Yeah. It's a scary thing that it
That's-
could occur.
Yeah, which is
know?
why we need regulation. But I think as long as they're only selling equipment right now,
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
It'll be
But
fine
yeah,
because it's like
yeah.
Yeah.
most people can't even buy it. I mean,
Yeah.
China doesn't want to buy our equipment because they want to build a home industry. Russia can't afford it, and India is doing so great right now; it doesn't even need anyone. Which
Yeah.
is, that we got to that's its own video. We have to talk about
Yeah.
the Indian space program one day.
Yeah, I was
It
gonna
is-
mention that, but yeah,
It is bonkers.
Yeah, I also I wanted to talk about the new space race that's going on right now because there is like a new space. I mean, it's not really as relevant.
It's
as
very
the one-
different.
Yeah, but right now every country is really racing to bring back rocks from Mars. Literally, that's like the whole
Yeah.
thing. That's like our number one priority right now.
Hmm.
And of course the Artemis missions. We're trying to go back to the moon, but like on a broader scale, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get rocks back from Mars to Earth, which is a big deal because Mars is so goddamn far away. Okay.
I do think we definitely need to talk about Artemis, because like that's definitely the thing, the most modern NASA thing that they're doing,
Right.
and how horrible it's been going.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk
Like
about that.
there's been so many delays with this NASA. So if everyone doesn't know, Artemis is supposed to be like the second Apollo missions, where we go back to the moon. Their plan is basically we're gonna launch a space station that's going to orbit the moon, and then we can add on to it, and it'll become like a hub that ships from Earth can be shot there, dock there, come down to the moon, and then reverse. And it's like it has taken so long. They were like they should have done a lot more this year, but now they pushed it to 2026,
Yeah.
and they're going to build a moon base, and they have all these promises. But as this is happening, obviously the new administration has had them. I literally read it just a few minutes ago how they cut like 4,000 employees at NASA, and it's like,
Yeah.
how are we supposed to do like a space race with the government when you're literally hacking at
Yeah.
the only thing that can do it?
I actually think the problem here isn't even the cuts. It's the uncertainty. Because
Yeah.
the administration does the cuts, right? They're like, "Oh, we're going to cut NASA." And everybody's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
shit, dude, we're cooked." Okay? Okay. And then Congress blocks it. Congress is like, "No, you can't do that." Okay? And then he's like, "No, I'm going to do it anyway." And then Congress is like, "No, you can't." And so they're going back and forth. NASA doesn't know what to do because they don't have like a strict budget because like everybody's arguing. So there's so much uncertainty. They can't make any real plans because like they don't know if they're gonna even exist by like
Then a
next
month
year.
long shutdown, and no
Yeah.
budget.
So it's like they don't know what to do. So I don't even think it's like a matter of money anymore. It's just like a matter of like bureaucracy and organization. Like they're just going through so much uncertainty right now. Nobody knows what to do. So
And
Yeah,
also,
and it's also like
Oh,
wait,
no.
I think it's conflict of like I mean it's also a pretty big conflict of interest if Elon or like Doge is allowed to mess around with these
That's
government
true.
agencies whenever
That's true.
like
Well, yeah,
SpaceX.
Doge is gone.
Well,
now.
that's why they were kicked out. Well,
Yeah,
that's not
yeah,
why they were
right,
kicked out for other reasons.
That
but
they
yeah.
should have been kicked. They should never have been existed.
Yeah, that should
Because
have
what did he
really been
do?
a thing
He
in the
goes
first
there
place.
and gets tons of government contracts from NASA. It's like the greatest PR
Oh.
campaign of all time. It's like,
Oh, I wonder. I
Yeah.
wonder.
I
wonder why he did
remove
it.
all
Why would he do that?
regulations of my companies. Huh? Yeah.
100% tariff on Chinese EVs, please.
Yeah, like bro,
You know,
come
so,
on,
so
guys.
Tesla doesn't have to
Dude,
compete with anybody.
What are we doing here?
You know,
when
there's still-
CEOs run the government, I mean,
I will say though, like, just with all that, dude, with Artemis, it's just so ridiculous how we're trying to get back and stuff, but at the same time, like they like. I remember watching the video. I remember watching it years ago. I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. I get to watch us go back to the moon, blah, blah. Everything I've read since. Cancellation. Cut. Loss. It's like, talk about everything. That is literally just the problem with the United States. Like,
Yeah, it's
look at the U.S.
bureaucracy.
Navy. They can't buy anything because it takes a billion years for anyone to build stuff. And it's like, it's like you don't have a brain if you think that NASA can compete with these other like entities. NASA can't even compete with SpaceX, our own homegrown companies.
yeah. In relation to that, I want to go back to what I was talking about, bringing the Mars rocks back. Like, I mean, they're samples. I shouldn't say rocks, but they are rocks, but they're samples. Anyway, I think we call ours the MSR mission. I think that's what it's called.
Is that the one that found the life on it, like the potential life, or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think it was anything like too serious. I don't think we discovered aliens, but I mean,
Well,
yeah, that's part of it.
They'll ship it back, and we'll see.
Yeah, I'm actually about to talk about that, but I'm really talking about the geopolitical implications of this because China is doing the same. Well, every country is. Well, every like spacefaring country, right, is trying to get rocks back from Mars to Earth. Okay, which is a big deal because it's so far away and blah 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 blah. Anyway, okay. China is like way ahead of us. Like they're thinking, like they're literally estimating that they're gonna have it back by 2030. We're not even gonna launch by 2030. It's like
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure we're also decommissioning the ISS in 2030. But anyway, that's a separate
Hmm.
issue. But yeah, they are so ahead of us.
Hmm.
And it's a big deal. It's a big deal because if China succeeds, they literally prove that number one, they're the first country to bring something back from a different planet in history. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a big deal by itself. Okay? Number two, other countries are gonna want to like partner with China because like that's crazy. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, and also like you said, I was gonna get to this the life right. There's
Hmm.
this thing called planetary protection, which is basically like hey, if we do bring something back from a different planet, if there are potential biohazards, we have to take certain security measures to do that, right?
Hmm.
that that whole responsibility falls on Beijing. Like,
Yeah.
and that by itself gives them so much what we call soft power.
Hmm.
Like that's giving them a whole lot of responsibility, and it's actually setting them up to take their place as the new leader of the space
Yeah.
industry.
I will. I know a little bit about the Chinese space program, so I just wanted to talk about it. So,
Hmm.
the Chinese space program is really suffering a lot of issues as well. Because, so China keeps its. It really matters on Earth where you launch from. So, the best place to launch a rocket is by the equator because there's the least, like, resistance. And you can, better get aligned. What is it? Like, just slingshot better around?
Right.
Yeah. So, well, China decided that they want to make sure that if like a war with the United States ever were to happen, it wouldn't be on the coastline. So they put it in the center of Sichuan Basin. So like pretty interior China.
Hmm.
So Chinese rockets have a very hard time getting off the ground. And even when they do, multiple times their rockets have come crashing down and hitting villages around there. So that's an issue. And it's like obviously China is mostly gearing for invasion of Taiwan. So I want to even say China is the biggest worry in space. Now it's definitely the one that scares the United States the most because the United States is horrified of China,
Yeah,
in so
that's
many
an
ways.
interesting take. Actually, I haven't heard that.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah,
And
I think
yeah,
I think me personally, I think China is the biggest competitor.
it's
But
like
go ahead.
another example. I don't know if y'all saw this. The like last good Russian like space launch area just got destroyed. Like it
Hmm.
got completely messed up. So the Russians are out of it. The Chinese
Yeah,
are having problems even getting the rockets up. We don't have the money. Really, the only person who's doing really well right now are
India.
the Indians.
Yeah.
I mean, the Europeans obviously they're remilitarizing, and the Japanese. This is I don't know if y'all know this. The Japanese are starting to do space stuff too. They partnered with the Europeans for
Hmm.
some satellites, but it's just like honestly, everyone is so preoccupied with like the new kind of like militarization on
Hmm.
Earth
Hmm.
that the space race. I'm gonna say, in my genuine opinion, I think it's gonna be put on pause because I think that you're going to see much more massive calamities going on that countries are going to have to worry about. And I think only after that will countries, if whether they win these calamities or lose them, they
Yeah.
will then focus on space.
I
So I
definitely
think
agree with
right
that.
now
I
we're seeing
definitely
a
agree with that.
prelude. We're in the prelude. We're not in the game yet.
I
The
definitely
game is
agree with
probably
that.
going to be late 2030s,
Yeah.
2040s is my
Yeah.
guess. Is
Well,
when you
yeah,
start
that's
seeing
actually
space.
that's when we're thinking of doing the whole MSR mission
Hmm.
2040. But no, I definitely agree. I think like we said before, there are bigger problems down here, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what Nityan said, and yeah, that's 100% true. But India's doing great, but I will also say I
I mean, they got to
think
worry about a rising Afghanistan picking on Pakistan, and they
yeah.
even have to worry about China too.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. But
so
I do think China is still the biggest threat here. India's
easily,
doing
I
great.
agree.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. India's doing great. They just had their Chandrayaan 3 mission, which
Yeah.
they sent something to the South Pole of the
The
moon, which no country has done
yeah,
before.
the
But they
the
haven't
the
had a
dark
person
side
in
of the moon.
space yet. Right,
The dark
the
side.
South Pole. But yeah,
Yeah, the dark side of the moon.
they haven't had they haven't had a human space flight, really.
Yeah.
So
Did China?
yeah, China has.
Okay.
Yeah, China, Russia, and the U.S. are the only three.
Oh yeah. Okay.
India would be
Mm.
the fourth, and they're
They
gearing up
will
to
be
do
soon.
it. Yeah, they're
Mm.
gearing up to do it, but they still haven't gotten there yet. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I think overall the biggest competitor here is still China.
I I, I want to put like another thing because we're in this segment we're also kind of talking about the future of NASA. I
Mhm.
think that NASA's priority with Mars is in so many ways so bad because it's like the I mean on a good part of the year you can get there in 9 months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like it's insane to me that
It's
people keep
true.
talking about how we want to go to Mars and stuff, and it's like the moon is right there. It has it's made of the same composition as Earth. It's literally right there.
Hmm.
There's tons of water on it. People don't realize this. It's like what is it? It's ice under the surface. It
Yeah,
has, and it's the perfect testing ground. And it's like you could strip mine the heck out of it and bring stuff here,
yeah.
and make tons of money. And
But
it's like,
again, it's that thing like if you because that's the whole new space race in the scientific
hmm
community. The
yeah,
new goal is to bring something back from a different planet, which is why
yeah.
every country's so focused on it. And really, you're 100% right. I honestly think it would be smarter to focus on the moon than Mars. I don't
Yeah.
give a damn about Mars,
Like
right?
if you were like this would be epic. The United States constantly like, yeah, we're gonna go to Mars, but we gotta develop the moon first. So everyone else
Yeah.
is trying to compete to Mars. But it's like, generally, I always joke about this. I really think like the moon will become the Venice of space because everything to get into Earth will have to go through the moon. Did I
Yeah.
meant to say Mars? I meant the moon. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
the moon will be the Venice of space because obviously it doesn't have an atmosphere. You can land there without really any friction. You can leave without any uh, resistance, and
Yeah.
just drop ship it here. So I
You
think
know,
like it.
that reminds me. Sorry, that
Mm,
reminds me of like this thing. Like during the gold rush, everybody was like moving out to California to go mine gold, but the people who got really rich, they sold shovels and like pickaxes.
exactly,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
yeah, yeah,
saying.
yeah.
it's like
That's
it's like the people who like if you're gonna use your brain here, right? Which
mhm.
one can make you way more money? The one that it would take 9 months to ship anything from Mars here, or the
Yeah,
one that you can strip mine right next door?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I think that
I
we're
will
gonna
say
start
though,
seeing.
there
Yeah, what
there's
are you
there's
saying?
one problem with like one thing that we have to be wary about is just space debris because
Yeah.
whenever whenever even like a dust particle is accelerating at like thousands of miles per hour, right?
hmm
Because of like kinetic energy, like it squares with velocity. So
Yeah.
even small pieces, like even like a small amount of mass traveling at like really high velocities can like cause really big issues with um with anything that you're trying to like get in and out of space. And the more that we continue to try to like every mission that we take always leaves more space debris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
especially with
I
the
think
moon because it's so close to us.
yeah,
Yeah, I will say,
right,
well,
right.
there's one really interesting thing. I don't know if y'all know about this, but the like European Space Agency has been designing one for years. It's like called a like garbage catcher that they
Hmm.
send up, and they act as like little satellites that catch stuff. But I definitely agree that it will easily be a massive issue in the
Right,
next like.
but
Let's not even consider if a war would have happened. People are gonna start shooting satellites out of the sky. Imagine how
yeah,
much space debris there will be then.
So what do you
right,
guys
exactly.
think is? Oh, sorry.
And
Go
it's not
ahead.
like
Go ahead.
it's not one country's issue. You see, this is like outer space, right? Like
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
like country is responsible for cleaning up the space debris, right?
Hmm.
Like
Because you can't just clean
what?
up your airspace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to
there's no
clean up
such thing
everyone's
as yeah.
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
What do you
What were you
guys
saying,
what do you
Sven?
guys think of yeah, I mean I was just gonna try to transition
Mm-hmm.
into like more of like a theoretical kind of discussion. What's like your wildest dreams of like what space is gonna be like, you know? Like what
I,
does it
I,
look like to you in the ideal future?
I'd say to me, it'd be like obviously it's going to be a scramble. You're going to have people
Hmm.
scrambling, and you're going to have border wars and stuff. But I think that you'll see an insanely rich moon that will just be absorbing all the wealth. Like at first, obviously, it'll be the periphery, but it'll start
Hmm.
becoming this super rich area, and it'll be really interesting to see how like the super populous Earth will be worried like about the moon. You know, if you're a corporation, right, and there's not going to be that many people on the moon, isn't it kind of smart to put your headquarters up there if you're making all the money? So it's like,
Yeah.
if you have problems with people on Earth, I mean, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? You still got to use the moon.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a place for people to escape. The Vegas of space.
The Vegas of space, yeah.
I mean,
That's
I'm
a
dead
good-
serious. You're just
Yeah,
going
let's
to
go start a
have,
casino up there, man.
you're going to have, like, it's going to be the elite capital besides Earth. In,
You know,
in
I
the
think
solar
I agree
system.
with you. I think I agree with you. What do you think of like terraforming Mars? I know that's been in the conversation.
I think it's something that we should not even think about for hundreds of years. I think, like I said, you don't
Agreed.
need to terraform a planet to live there.
I think we can even think about like on like thousands of years because
I wouldn't
like
say
because
thousands for Mars. Like, you could start terraforming it, but it'd be very difficult. Like, just to build the fake magnet you'd need to, like, so it can keep an atmosphere would take untold
yeah,
amounts of.
I don't know. I actually think that like um terraforming Mars, I actually could imagine it going into the thousands of years. Or at least like for a true like
For
civilization
complete.
to
For complete terraforming, I'd say thousands. For, like, where people could maybe start breathing, I'd say a few hundred. You know, if we're working together. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's
But
true.
we're probably gonna end it there, y'all. Thank you guys for coming. You know,
Appreciate it.
yep. And we're really happy to have Nick in here. Hopefully he can keep coming.
Yep.
Yep. But thank you.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Kuman.